Welcome back to the show. Well, not only holiday concerts that happen around this time of year, we also see a lot of fantastic initiatives that raise funds and donate to different causes. And my next guest has a really unique way of helping those less vulnerable in our community. I'm joined by Rebecca Fitzgerald from Toasty Toes, Ottawa. Rebecca, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. It's great to have you here. So let's talk about the beginning of Toasty Toes, because this goes beyond the borders of Ottawa, right?
It sure does, yeah. So Toasty Toes started actually in Waterloo region by a woman named Sharon, who, to commemorate her mother's, what would have been her mother's 80th birthday, she put out a call to try and collect 80 pairs of socks, because her mom really, that was sort of her thing, you know, we all have our things, and her mom liked really unique pairs of socks. And so that campaign, I think that year they collected hundreds, if not thousands of pairs.
Really?
And they donated them to those experiencing homelessness within the Waterloo region. So they continued on, and since then they've collected like hundreds of thousands of pairs of socks in that region. They've done exceptionally well. They've also, they have a fund, a Toasty Toes fund specific to Waterloo region, and so we really mirrored what we're doing here with Toasty Toes Ottawa based on that. So it's sort of grassroots in nature and people helping local residents.
So when did it come here to Ottawa?
So in 2020, we thought, you know, it's pandemic time, everything's locked down, perfect time to start something.
That's true. That's an excellent point, yeah.
So, no, but all kidding aside, we started in 2020. We thought, you know what, we certainly knew that people were in need and increasing numbers. And so we really felt compelled to do something here. And so we ran a small campaign in 2020, and then last year that campaign grew. And we've continued on that momentum in 2022. And it's just been fabulous. Like the community support, and people have really rallied around it and run their own campaigns and their own Socktober events and Tovember, and you know, it's
very cool.
Yeah.
Why did you want to get involved? How did you end up getting involved?
So I think, you know, it was a friend of mine who had a similar campaign. So I mentioned Waterloo region, and then there was a campaign in from 2018 to 2020 in Guelph, and that was a close friend of mine, and so I was really inspired by the work that they were doing, and thought that certainly there was a need in Ottawa, and so I think the other reason for me was because as I started to kind of research it and was thinking about whether or not I wanted to lead something like this, it really resonated with me that socks are one of the most requested items and least donated at shelters. Yeah.
I wonder why that is. I guess it's not top of mind, right? Especially when it comes to the colder months. I think right away people think hats and mitts and gloves, you know, gloves and coats and
you know, we do really well here with the Snowsuit Fund in Ottawa and that too, which is a fabulous organization. But there is really this need for some of these sort of small things that we all take for granted, right? Like we're, you know, we put our socks on every morning and they're clean and they're dry and they're lovely. They provide comfort and that, but I don't think we also don't realize the health benefits that come from them, right? And inversely, what it can mean for someone who's living without shelter, right? Experiencing homelessness in our city, and who doesn't have access to that same pair of warm socks.
So how do our viewers get involved? How can they donate?
Great question. So there's still time left. Our campaign wraps up about mid-October, because then we start to transition and do all the deliveries to the shelters and social agencies that we support. But there's still lots of time left, and there are donation boxes throughout the city. So
there are, okay.
Yeah, so if you're in the East End, you can go to Centennial Glass Depot at 855 Industrial Avenue. They have a location there. If you're in the West End, in Stittsville, we have boxes set up at the Cardell Recreation Center. In Canada, there's one at the Canada Recreation Complex. And there are some local businesses as well, like the Mavericks Donuts in Stittsville and that are participating. If you're more centrally located, Tubman's Funeral Home at both locations, they have collection there as well.
Do you take monetary donations as well?
We sure do.
So then you will go out and buy socks? Is that the idea behind it?
So sort of. So what we do is we've partnered with the Ottawa Community Foundation, and there is a Toasty Toes Ottawa fund. And so you can donate to the fund. You'll get a tax receipt if your donation is over $20. And then those funds are then directly, we've set it up as what's called a flow through. So we're able to give every dollar raised annually right back to the organizations and shelters that we're supporting in our city.
That is fantastic. So what has the response been? I imagine, you know, when you give to these organizations, they must be so appreciative.
So they are. I mean, they're seeing our most vulnerable residents, right? And they're serving that demographic on a daily basis through their outreach programs, hot meal programs, and Christmas hampers and things like that. And so having additional items like socks to add to those programs is always helpful. I think that, you know, like people just don't really realize how much people actually just need the basics.
Right.
And so we support Minwashen Lodge, the Shepherds of Good Hope, the Mission, the Anglican day programs like St. Luke's Table, the Well, those sorts of, even Chrysali's House, which is a small shelter in the West End. And so, you know, they're quite willing to take these basic items, these socks, and provide them to their residents. And I think that the response has been quite good as we've added the fund as well as an option.
Right.
Because the reality is these locations just don't have storage, you know?
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, I met your mom in the green room, and she said, I think you have a car full of socks right now, probably, right? Does your home around this time of year turn into like a sock storage facility?
It's a little overwhelming,
I can imagine.
As they all come in.
Lastly, do you need volunteers like to help deliver? Are you always looking for people?
So we certainly are. So if you'd like to get in touch with us, I believe you're going to share, but we've got toastytoesottawa@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on Instagram and Twitter as well. On Twitter, our handle is @OttawaToes. And so by all means, if you have a way to be supportive or want to get more involved, just reach out. We're happy to help.
Well, it's nice, right? Because maybe some people can't necessarily afford to help in different ways, whether it's buying socks or donating, but they could donate their time. So that's wonderful. Rebecca, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Again, you can get in touch with Rebecca and Toasty Toes at toastytoesottawa@gmail.com. Another fabulous concert to tell you about coming up right after this. Don't go anywhere.